Let me tell you, if they win this election, every one of you will be gone. They will be vicious, they will be ruthless, they will do things that you wouldn't believe. But right now, because of me, they're leaving you alone. So please say thank you, President Trump. Thank you very much.
Donald Trump is often guilty of the very things he accuses of others. In psychology, this is known as projection, a habit of taking your own traits and attributing them to others.
Our radical Democrat opponents are driven by hatred, prejudice, and rage. These people are horrible people. They're horrible, horrible liars. They want to destroy you, and they want to destroy our country as we know it.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and fascists use lies as a weapon to switch the roles of victim and attacker. The traitor always accuses others of what he has done or will do.
These people are sick. They are sick, and you better get used to hearing it because they have some real problems. They don't love our country.
Donald Trump still has not said that he lost the last election.
You should be able to lose the last election. No, the people lost. We were the ones that should have some kind of lawsuits against all of these administrative people up there and have it for treason. And you know what the punishment for treason is? Hanging on the square. Let's do that and see if we don't change some of this garbage.
What do you think about the rhetoric these days? You think there's an issue with the rhetoric?
Yes. Yes.
What kind of world do we want to live in? One that takes us backwards into division and deceit, or one where we, the middle class, finally see the promise of a brighter future? I want to talk about something pretty intense that I just recently came across. There's a video circulating where Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation is making some serious threats about what they're calling a second American Revolution.
In spite of all this nonsense from the left, we are going to win. We're in the process of taking this country back. No one in the audience should be despairing. No one should be discouraged. We ought to be really encouraged. I come full circle in this response and just want to encourage you with some substance that we are in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Now, this isn't just your everyday political rhetoric. This guy is really trying to rally people with some powerful and provocative language.
We are winning. There are a lot of victories that have been secured. Some of them are partial. Some of them in ways that the other side doesn't yet know are foundations for what's coming. And that's just the beginning. And we're not going to tell you everything that's coming. Because for the first time that I'm aware of, the conservative movement, or as I really like to put it, the common sense movement in the United States has really nothing to do with ideology, is ready to fight.
What's really striking is the call to action. The speaker is encouraging supporters to stay vigilant and be prepared for whatever comes next, whether that's rallies, political activism, or other forms of protest. This isn't just about getting people fired up. It's about mobilizing them for significant, potentially disruptive actions. Now, why does this matter? Well, such rhetoric is designed to stir emotions and rally their base. The idea of a revolution taps into a deep sense of patriotism and urgency, but it's also highly polarizing. It's meant to solidify support among their followers while provoking strong reactions from the opposition, which can really escalate tensions. The strategy here is clear. Mobilize supporters by framing the current political landscape as a battleground that requires immediate and decisive action. This kind of talk can increase political engagement, but it also risks inciting conflict. So let's be aware of how these messages are being used and the potential consequences they might have. It's a charged atmosphere out here, and we need to stay informed and engaged without getting swept up into the rhetoric. Now let's talk about the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025. This conservative think tank based in Washington, D.C. has been shaping U.S. policy since 1973. Their influence is a double-edged sword, often swinging against the interests of ordinary Americans.
This is the culmination of nearly 50 years of work that began during the Reagan administration. Broadly, according to Heritage President Kevin Roberts, this is a Christian nationalist plan to end what he calls the Great Awakening and, quote, rescue our kids, reclaim our culture, revive our economy, and defeat the anti-American left at home and abroad.
One of their major focuses has been on social welfare programs. They consistently oppose programs like Medicare and Social Security, arguing for their reduction or even elimination. Think about the impact of that. Millions of low-income and elderly Americans could be left without essential health care and financial support. That's a significant concern. Heritage also pushes for right-to-work legislation, aiming to reduce the power of labor unions. While they argue that this boosts economic growth, it can lead to lower wages, reduced benefits, and weaker worker protections. We must consider how this affects the average American worker. Environmental deregulation is another area where Heritage has been very active. They support rolling back environmental regulations, again, to boost economic growth. However, this could lead to increased pollution and environmental degradation, negatively affecting public health and contributing to climate change. These are real tangible consequences that we cannot ignore. In education, Heritage advocates for school choice and reducing federal involvement. The idea is to give parents more control, but diverting funds from public schools to private institutions can weaken our public education system. Public schools are the backbone of our communities, and their strength is vital for our children's future. When it comes to tax policy, Heritage promotes tax cuts, especially for corporations and the wealthy. They believe this stimulates economic growth, but often it increases income inequality and reduces government revenue, affecting public services that many Americans rely on. Now let's talk about their support for Donald Trump. Heritage found a strong ally in Trump for several reasons. His administration worked closely with them to roll back numerous regulations, particularly environmental and labor sections. They also played a crucial role in advising and vetting judicial appointments, ensuring that conservative judges were appointed to the federal judiciary. Then there's Project 2025, Heritage initiative to prepare for a conservative takeover of the presidency. This project emphasizes a streamlined implementation of conservative policies, which aligns closely with Trump's agenda. However, it's important to acknowledge the criticism Heritage has faced. Many argue that their policies benefit corporations and the wealthy at the expense of ordinary Americans. Critics say that their influence has led to increased economic inequality, environmental harm, and weakened public services. So as we reflect on the Heritage Foundation's role in American politics, we see a powerful force promoting conservative values. Yet, we must assess the real-world impacts of their policies on everyday Americans. Project 2025 is a blueprint for a dictatorship. It would subvert our democracy and destroy our way of life. And for what? So a few billionaires can increase their wealth and tighten their grip on the working class. I say hell no. Project 2025 must be stopped, and it's up to each and every one of us to resist it. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.